I know.
Okay, so the guys that let you know language back to the we're just trying to bring a
and I know.
There we go.
Oh, it is Davis Parts Fund.
I wasn't bringing it up when we had a park.
Oh, because you want to duplicate. Okay. I promise you better on the rights or I don't like to do this.
We're still trying to make the library kind of like a Lenten concert.
Got everybody here? Right. And so that
All right, welcome everybody. It is 7 o'clock and time to start our city council meeting. We appreciate everyone being here tonight. We have several public hearings this evening. If you're here to speak at any of those public hearings or during our public comment period, there are forms out on the podium outside. You can make sure to fill those out and get them up to Wendy so that we can give you that opportunity to speak. We'll begin tonight. Turn the time over to Councilmember Phipps for our opening ceremony.
Would you please rise and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we gather together as a community tonight, grateful unto Thee for the wonderful land in which we live, for the sacrifice of those who have given their all, that we may enjoy our freedoms and that we may participate in the exercise of freedom of government and all the freedoms that we enjoy. We thank Thee for these opportunities. We pray Thy blessing upon us as a community, that we will grow together, that we will rejoice together, and that we will enjoy each other together, that us as a community and as a society will be protected from harm and from evil. We pray Thee to bless those that protect us every day, that put their lives in harm's way, the fire, the police, and others who protect us and defend us. We pray Thy blessing upon us as elected officials, that we will be inspired and be guided to do what is best for the city, and that we may counsel together tonight in unity and harmony and come to the right decisions and that are best for all of us and for the citizens of this great community. And ask this blessing in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Vern. I do appreciate everyone being here tonight. We must have some things on the agenda that are rather important. We don't often have this many people at a council meeting, so it's kind of fun to see. We just finished our work session before this, and for those of you who don't know, we hold a work session almost every week. On our off weeks where we don't have a policy session, we hold a work session, and then most often prior to this meeting we spend an hour working as well. So a lot of times it looks as though we haven't really given a whole lot of thought to an issue as the council prepares to vote on something, but in most cases we've spent weeks on end discussing those items, and so they're covered with us in our work sessions prior to this and allowing us that time between then and now to do some research. So we have minutes to approve, council, from the April 17th work session and the May 1st work session. There have been two sets of addenda that have gone out to those minutes. Hopefully you've received all those, so the minutes you're voting on are the amended minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review those? Are there any other corrections or additions to those minutes? If not, I'd entertain a motion on them.
Your Honor, I'll move to approve the amended minutes for April 17th, 2018 work session and the May 1st, 2018 work session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes stand. I should note, we do have all of our council here tonight. We have Council Member Thompson. Is he with us still? Okay, he's not on. He's not with us. Never mind. Carice was with us during our work session. So the first item on our agenda is the presentation on the Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting to Clearfield City. And are you taking that one? Or well, how about you take that? You're the boss. We'll turn the time over to J.J. Allen, our city manager, for that presentation.
Do we have the certificate? Do we know?
It is a plaque.
Can we? He's got it in his house. Well, maybe we can embarrass Rich and ask him to step up so that he can be recognized for this accomplishment. Rich and his staff in our finance division have done an excellent job over the course of several years in a row now to receive this recognition from the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA. And again, the award is this Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. They have done such an excellent job, continue to do that year over year, and we wanted to take this opportunity to acknowledge their great work. And we really appreciate, especially on a night like tonight where we're scheduled to adopt the budget, their great work in doing so. So thank you, Rich.
Appreciate it. It is a huge process going through that budget, and it's not one that's done in a matter of weeks. It is dang near a year to put the budget together. By the time we finish and adopt this one, he'll start working on next year's. And so,
yeah, I was just about to make that same point, that it is a continuous process. We go from the adoption of the budget to the preparation of the document that is made public. Rich's staff also prepare a budget in brief pamphlet kind of thing that's very helpful to the general public to understand what the budget is in layman's terms, and monitoring the budget through the year, and then the audit is kind of the completion of that whole effort. It's just one continuous round that our staff are ongoing involved in.
So thanks again, Rich. Appreciate it. Okay, well, we have a series of public hearings tonight. The first of those is a public hearing to receive public comment on the rezone of specific set of properties located in the downtown corridor consistent with the recently adopted form-based code. Brad, we're going to turn the time over to you to give us some background here.
Thank you. And if it's okay, I'm just going to stay here and present from this location.
That is fine.
So this item was brought before the Planning Commission last Wednesday in their regular meeting. And the Planning Commission made a recommendation to the City Council to approve the rezone of the properties note that I'll review tonight, subject to a few changes that will be addressed in their recommendation. So first of all, I'll kind of go over the detail of how we got here, and to give the City Council is well aware of the whole process, but to mostly give the public an idea of the background of where we're here, so that way they have a context of this rezone and the purpose behind it. So essentially, back in 2015, this has been a 3-year process where the city, with the City Council, has decided to look for ways to redevelop and to provide development opportunities for the city, especially along the State Street and downtown corridor, and to redevelop and create an identity and a real look and feel for a downtown. As part of that, the City Council contracted with Zions Bank Professional Finance. They do a lot of professional finance work for many municipalities to perform a market analysis. In their market analysis, they identified areas, and they identified specifically within those areas along our State Street corridor the types of uses that would be appropriate within the current market environment and the constraints that we would have and how to address those. Following that, and to add to that, the market analysis also identifies the Clearfield Station area plan. That is being taken care of on a separate item, and then also addresses the legacy, not legacy, but
Legend Hills?
Legend Hills, that's it. Legend Hills. Those areas are not included in this form-based code rezone, but have been addressed in that market analysis. Following that, the City Council worked with staff to develop a downtown small area plan. So to come up with an idea of how to develop downtown going forward, how to revitalize downtown in the future and going forward. That was begun in 2016. It was adopted by the City Council in March of 2017. One of the main recommendations of that downtown area plan was to develop a form-based code. And as a city council, last month, the city council adopted the form-based code, which provides the design standards, the guidelines, the ordinance standards that would govern future development of the areas that are highlighted in the form-based code and really create a look and feel for the downtown. And when it comes to that, the code regulations really dictate the form, the style, the look and feel, and mostly the building types. It's a lot different than what we have seen traditionally. So this just goes over, this slide just shows the market analysis that was done. You can see on the right the areas that were identified and also the quarter-mile radius within those areas in that market analysis. And then this is the map for the downtown vision. So again, that plan that recommended that we adopt a form-based code. You can see along here that it identified areas such as the Clearfield Station area to the south, and also went as far north as where Main Street essentially intersects I-15. The form-based code doesn't incorporate all of those areas, but it incorporates most of the areas. An important aspect of this downtown plan is that it recommended a lot of town residential. The form-based code has pared that back a little bit, and that was mentioned in the Planning Commission meeting last week. Some of the main areas in the form-based code that I'll highlight, there's areas identified as the Civic Center. So it's this area outlined in purple where our current City Hall is. You have got the Health Department across the street and other civic uses that might be coming in the future. This area includes a civic area, town commerce with the commercial properties to the south of the City Hall, and then also town residential, which would allow medium to high density residential, minimum of 2 stories, but a maximum height of 4 stories. And then there's also additional buffering standards and height standards in the form-based code for properties that are adjacent to properties that are not within the form-based code area. So the neighborhoods that are gray in this map, that are not colored, there would be additional buffering, height requirements up to 36 feet, and also additional landscaping buffers such as 20 feet, landscaping buffers. Maybe Place area, so there's the Maybe Pond, and then there's the development that's existing down there currently, the mobile home park here to the west. This is the area that's really been envisioned in the form-based code as the downtown that has the real strong identity. There's not going to be a height maximum on there. It's going to be dictated based upon the types of buildings that can go there. This would be a mix of commercial and residential, so a mixed-use core, and the design is to revitalize the pond area, to provide open space, to provide a plaza that is a community amenity, and in some place it's a gathering place for the city. Access point is identified as mostly the 700 South corridor, all the way to where you've got Kent's and then up to I-15. This includes, as you can see, just town commerce, that red. The town commerce is strictly a commercial zone that allows a little bit of residential, mixed-use residential, and then some townhomes if it's part of a mixed-use project, but not just residential by itself. The only areas where residential by itself would be allowed would be the areas that are in yellow. Everywhere else it has to be part of a mixed commercial and residential project. And then the areas that are in green is the CC, the corridor, the commercial corridor. Those are the areas essentially in between those different centers or those different place types. I've kind of mentioned this before, but form-based code principles are all about addressing placemaking. And really planning and zoning, the idea is to address placemaking, to create places where people can identify, that has an identity, that people can go to and recognize where they are, and then looks different than somewhere else. It is a clear vision with implementation, and also it's a proactive approach with essentially providing standards for how a building is going to be designed for a developer. So this is a list of the parcels that are included in this rezone. These are all so this first section is properties that are green, and it would be properties that are currently zoned either C2 or some are R18 that would be changed to the commercial corridor. So those areas in between those main place types. The purple would be the civic area, so our city hall, you can just see there's a handful of properties there. The red is the town commerce, so mostly the area along 700 South, and then the development just to the south of us here. There is the exception of one property, so this area that's highlighted in yellow. was identified as a property that did not need to be included. It was located on Ross Drive, and there was a misalignment of the drawing, and so when we did a GIS analysis, it picked up that property, but it's not one that needs to be included. So, and that has been noted by the Planning Commission, and the recommendation is to keep it as R18 and not rezone it to TC. Again, here's some more properties that would be going from their current zoning designation to town commerce. And then the yellow is properties that are either commercial or single-family zoned or otherwise that would be going to that town residential. And the town residential would allow from low density to medium or high density, and again have heights maximum of 4 stories and other standards for buffering. The pink is the urban commerce, just a few properties there, but the acreage of those properties is fairly large because it's the Lakeside Square development mostly. And then you've got the orange, which is the urban residential, which is very similar to the urban commerce, and that would be on the west side of state. This was presented last week in the Planning Commission meeting with them. There was a request by Jed Flint, who is the property owner of this property here that's just to the north of the AutoZone property. He requested that the other 2 properties, which he owns to the north of that, be included in the town commerce. They're currently not included in the proposal, but his request to the Planning Commission was to include those so that way he could combine the 3 properties and be more suitable for him with future development. And then the other request that we received last week and was discussed with the Planning Commission was to have these properties that are highlighted here not be included in the town commerce designation, and just to end the town commerce designation at 1000 East. After looking through that with the applicant and then also looking at the downtown small area plan and the general plan, both of those plans end the mixed use designation at 1000 East, so staff felt that it was appropriate to not continue that designation if the Planning Commission and City Council felt the same as well. So with those 2 requests, this would be the change. So this is how it was currently proposed, and this is the change following those 2 requests. And the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this rezone with those changes. An additional change that was brought between last week's meeting and tonight's meeting with the City Council is the property owners of these 2 properties here have requested that their properties be changed from the CC, so the green commercial corridor, to the pink urban commerce. So these are the 2 properties that are addressed there, and they would like to have that change again for marketability of their property. So with that, staff, we do recommend that the City Council, along with the Planning Commission, as they did last week, approve the zoning text amendment to rezone those properties in order to conform with the general plan and also with the form-based code and the small area plan of the city. Below is the recommendation from the Planning Commission that includes those amendments to end at 1000 East and changing those properties. Before the item is open up for public comment, I do want to address some of the comments that we received last week. We talked about these in the study session. A lot of comments were about concerns with people's property taxes increasing. To our knowledge as staff, property taxes would be assessed by the use on the property, not based upon the zoning. And so if the zone changes, it'd still be assessed based upon the use, but those questions can most accurately be addressed by the county assessor's office. Other concerns were about whether people can continue to use their property as it is right now, that do they have to change or do they have to move? The answer to that is properties that are being rezoned, if they were legal before the zone change, they become legal non-conforming, which allows them to continue that use in perpetuity as long as they would like to, as long as if there's any redevelopment of a site or any new structures, then those new things have to come into compliance with city code. And then the last thing was just concerns about not being informed on the whole process. So as I stated before, it's been a 3-year process, and in the staff report, we included information about the outreach that had happened. So outreach, there was a steering committee that was included. They met a total of 5 times from September 2017 to April of 2018. Members of the City Council, members of the community, and also of the Planning Commission were included on that. And then for outreach, in October of 2017, there was an unboxing video that was posted on the city website and on the Facebook page to announce that. And then there was an all-city mailer for the form-based code that was sent between March 2nd to the 6th regarding open house opportunities. There were other things that were sent out. Let's see, there was the KAFC meeting on March 6th. That, it was brought up there. There's also been the community leaders luncheon for business owners and different community leaders that this has been discussed there as well. There's been information included in the newsletter on March 29th, 2018, which goes out in the utility mailer, and then there were also the notices that were sent out. So that's just a brief list of some of the outreach that has happened. And with that, I'm happy to stop talking and answer questions for you if you've got any.
Well, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and declare the public hearing open. I have forms from, I believe they are all in regards to this. So we'll just kind of go down through those. Doug Kersley? If you'd come state your name and address for the record, because we are recording it and we're also on Facebook Live, so
oh, awesome.
You know, the world is seeing the back of your head now.
I'm Doug Kersley. I own Dick Kersley Service Center. The address is 520 South State in Clearfield. I spoke at the, and I do want to say the speaker system sounds better tonight than it did in the
Planning Commission?
In the Planning Commission. You couldn't hear anything anywhere, so I was going to make jokes about, for the expense of this building, we ought to have a better speaker system than we do. And it probably still could be improved. I had a couple concerns. I think the overall, the plan is good, Mayor and Council. I applaud the idea of what we're trying to accomplish. I have a couple comments that I think we ought to address a little closer. I believe that with State Street being a state highway and the speed limit through there, until we could convince the state to slow that speed limit down to 25 miles an hour, anything but commercial property facing State Street, I think, is short-sighted. I believe that our sales tax, you know, my business puts anywhere from $10,000 to $14,000 a month in the sales tax coffers, and that adds up certainly faster than property tax. And so, you know, I just look, especially as long as State Street is the speed it is, I think we should have a little bit more commercial. My own property, I think, is one that should be left in the commercial corridor. And unless we could figure out a way to slow down State Street, that would be the trick. And I don't know whether the state would ever even talk to us.
We actually have. That is in our form-based code as we approve that part of that is a
awesome
park median basically to go down State Street.
Well, that'd be great.
We met with UDOT, got verbal, yes, they think it's a great idea. They were worried that we would be concerned it would slow down traffic in Clearfield, and we told them we'd like traffic to slow down through there so we can, so people flying through here from one point to the next can see what's on the other side.
Awesome, Mayor. I think that would certainly make a difference. After the Planning Commission meeting the other night, I called or arranged a meeting with staff and came and met with Spencer and Brad, and they were very helpful, and in fact, you know, made it much more understanding of what we're doing in the form-based code. And I do applaud what we're trying to do. I think it's going to be very tough in Clearfield where we're so spread out. You go to Ogden where it's basically a couple blocks that we've done. You can walk to any of it, but to walk 2 miles from one end to the other of Clearfield, I think is going to be kind of tough to do. And so, I don't know, I just consider some of those, and I don't know if it makes a bit of sense, but that's what I'd like to say, and thank you for hearing us.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate you being here. Dick's Boat Shop.
I just want to thank the time, the opportunity to have a chance to stand up and kind of voice our concerns.
Can you state your name and address just so we have it?
Yeah, I'm Kyle Weeks, and we're at 601 East, 700 South. So, you know, we've been there so long. You know, we're one of the oldest businesses in Clearfield. We've been around 59 years now. And one of our concerns is we've actually been planning on expanding, and the new codes are stifling our future growth, our plans, because like an example, we weren't planning a 2-story building. For a boat shop, 2 stories doesn't work. I can't put boats on a 2nd story. It wouldn't work too good. And so that's kind of our biggest concern is we're actually already in the process, had plans and stuff. We're going to come and get a permit, and then all this came about. And so we're just concerned about future growth down the road, because for me, as things change more and more, sometimes it opens the floodgates for more changes that sometimes can impact business over time. And, for us, we're happy where we're at, and people know where to find us. And we just want it where we can expand and continue to grow the business. We definitely see it with the sales tax, the amount we bring you guys every month. And, we understand we need to pay that. It's just, we just want some help, to allow us to expand in a reasonable manner. We just want to work together is what I'm trying to get to. Kind of work together that would work for both the city and for us is my biggest concern.
Well, and that was honestly just to address that a concern of the council as well. So we don't want to lose any of the businesses that we have by some of those changes. We have a vision for what the city ought to look like. It's that balance of how you make that happen, but we certainly don't, we want to work with our businesses and make sure that we don't lose them.
Brad can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, if the new zone were put in place, making your property TC, the 2-story requirement could be met if the building's height qualifies as 2-story, yet the building is actually still a 1-story building. Does that make sense? 1 story, but of the height that would be equivalent to 2 stories?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think as staff we would look at it that way. It doesn't necessarily have to have 2 stories, but if it's in that height range, and it may be beneficial for you, may not. But that is a good clarification to bring up, that if the height is there, we could look at it as probably a 2-story building.
Do you happen to know the height? Because we're planning on a little taller to allow larger boats to fit inside.
Yeah, I'm just looking that up real quick. So
I'll let you meet with Brad or Spencer after if you want, or they can meet you.
Yeah.
They can meet you out in the hall and just kind of go over those with you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Robert Reagan.
I do get my 2 cents worth.
Of course.
Of course. My name is Robert Reagan, R-E-G-A-N. It is not Ronald Reagan. And I own the property at 606 South, 1000 East. My neighbor, the guy who owns the 2 parcels south, approached this fellow over here, high in the tie, to have his properties at 608 and 624 be included in the zone change. If you look very carefully, I am at 606. I would like to also have my property zoned differently so that it is not an island. So that's my request.
Can you pull that up? Do you have
Yeah,
the
so-
ability to zoom in on that one?
I'm in the access point area.
oh, the Jed Flint property. Okay.
Just so we
Gotcha.
can have council see that in case they want to make that change.
Right there. Okay. Keep next one. Okay.
Whoop.
Back.
Okay.
Stop that.
You guys can see it. Okay, excellent. Okay.
Sorry, I
You
just
see,
got to slow down. Okay.
the yellow line moved up to, and that's my property line. I want it to move all the way up to 600 South.
So is this your property right here?
Say that again, please.
Is your property on the corner of 1000 and 600?
Yes, 606 South.
Okay.
So I look at it, you already approved Jed Flint to do that. Toss me in.
Okay. Yeah.
I would think in
And,
looking at that certainly makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah, and as the city council, you can choose to do that tonight.
Okay.
If that's,
Thanks.
Very good. Thank you, Robert. Okay, that is the only other comments that I had. Was there anybody else that was here to speak in regards to the rezone that I don't have forms for? Okay. Okay. We'll get the, we'll get the parcel ID number for that parcel, Robert, so we can make sure that that's included. Is there anyone here else that wanted to speak in regards to the rezone? If not, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Your Honor, seeing no further requests to comment, I would move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That'll move us on to our second public hearing, which is to receive public comment on the amended final subdivision plat for property located at 572 West, 300 North. Spencer, do you have that one? Yes, sir. We'll let Spencer Brimley give us some background on this one.
Thank you, Mayor. Kind of loud. There we go. I have that effect on people, yes.
Only half of it.
Mayor, members of the council, and our public, this evening, FSP 1803-0002 is a request for an amended plat to be known as the Jaybird plat for two pieces of property located approximately 572 West and 300 North. The current zoning of that property is R3 with an SP overlay. This item was considered by the Clearfield City Planning Commission at their meeting back in May, the first Wednesday in May, whereupon they considered the information presented and recommended approval of the amended plat to the council. Subsequently, this item came to the City Council on May 22nd for consideration. During that time, there was additional information that had been realized and understood, and so the City Council asked that the item be postponed until a meeting that could be held this evening. After meeting with the developer and discussing the project in greater detail to come to a better understanding of what could be done on the site. So just to give you a little bit of, did I skip my, I had a slide.
Are we starting over?
Yes, sorry. I'm looking, I may have, yes, okay, I must have moved my slide. So I want to give a little bit more context relative to the development of the property and also the history associated with it. So again, the property is currently surrounded by single-family residential and agricultural zoning. The property itself was changed from single-family and agricultural zoning back in 2001 by the Clearfield City Council and through an agreement that was entered into. Subsequently, that agreement was never recorded on the property, and as such, the property was sold to a private citizen or developer who requested development of the property consistent with the R3 zoning district. I've already stated that this item was 22nd meeting and was subsequently forwarded to the June 12th meeting this evening. Subsequent to that meeting, staff has met with the developer and discussed the project in greater detail. The original proposal was for, and so let me maybe talk about this a little bit. The original proposal was for townhomes on the site, two buildings that would have been located on this site and changed the access to 300 North rather than 500 West. The site would have been very compact relative to the development of those two buildings, and so as staff worked with the developer starting back in October of 17, the product that was come to was a single building with 12 units for apartments. Subsequently, again, the developer and the new property owner has met with staff, and what has been agreed upon is that the property will now be developed as a 12-unit condo rather than a 12-unit apartment building, subsequent to the amendment, the approval of the plat amendment. At the Planning Commission meeting back in May, the Planning Commission also recommended approval of the site plan for the development of this building, contingent on the plat being amended.
Would you, for those in attendance here, maybe explain the difference between an apartment and a condo?
Sure, absolutely, Mayor. So the difference between an apartment and a condo really comes down to the ownership. So apartment buildings are rentals. Every single unit is rented out. It's under single ownership. A condo is 12 potentially individually owned units in one building. And so there is pride of ownership. There's an interest in maintaining and keeping your area beautified and kept up. The city has seen a trend within Clearfield moving from apartments and townhomes to owner-occupied units. And this has been something that we've been excited about and glad to see happen. This is a big concession by the developer to move from apartments to townhomes, given the value that they could get out of the property for apartments versus condos. They really have come to the table and been a willing participant in evaluating the project honestly and sincerely in order to develop it consistent with what the code would allow for. And so the developer has conceded to follow the requests and the recommendations of staff to make this a condo project rather than an apartment, to increase that opportunity for ownership rather than rentals in the future.
Well, and in a society where we're struggling with that right now, in a state of not affordable housing affordability, that's a big thing. There are places we just cannot put first-time home buyers or sometimes move-up buyers.
Yeah.
There just isn't anywhere. And by doing it this way, it allows that opportunity for those people to own in lieu of renting.
And I think also, as you look at the site and as staff evaluated this project, the beautifications of the site relative to this project compared to what the original proposal was is substantial. There's a lot more green space, the amenity for the tot lot, and some other things there. So really the look and feel of this site is substantial and is above and beyond what we would typically require. The developer, like I said, has really come to the table and been willing to understand the city's desire to come to an agreement on how to make this work feasibly, given some of that information that came to light. So again, this item was heard by the Planning Commission back in May, and staff is provided the recommendations after consideration by the council for approval, denial, or tabling of this item based on the conditions of approval that were forwarded by the Planning Commission. So,
okay, thank you, Spencer. I'll go ahead and declare the public hearing open. I don't have any forms for anyone that was here to speak on this tonight. I don't want to deny that opportunity. Was there anyone here to speak on this rezone? If you'd come up and state your name and address for the record, we'll get a form from you later. But
my name is Michael Rollo, and I'll spell that for you, R-O-L-O-W. I live at 495 West, 300 North. When you showed the overhead view, you see the roof of my house in that picture. My property is diagonally across from the proposed area. And I see a lot of traffic on 300 North as it is now. Is there any consideration being made to slow the traffic down a little bit? It's currently 35, and that's becoming a residential nightmare, especially how many people trying to turn off of 500, either direction, trying to turn left. It's crazy.
we haven't. In the past, it was a UDOT-owned road. It is now ours.
Yeah.
So if we, it's something we can do studies on.
One thing I've noticed is that traffic, when people are either coming south on 500 or going north on 500 trying to make a left, I've seen people sitting there for 10 minutes waiting for traffic to clear, especially at
rush hour.
Hills rush hour.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of traffic traveling through on 300 North. And I'm not a big fan of apartments or condos, but I'm probably going to have to live with it. I like the view of the trees that are across there right now.
Yeah.
And when I saw the overhead view of the plans, trees. I like seeing the trees. If I was looking at the front of that building, I wouldn't like it.
Sure, certainly.
Especially from my front porch.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Oh, we do have one more.
I'm Matthew Geit.
Excuse me?
I'm Matthew Geit, G-Y-T-E.
Okay.
I live at 319 North, 500 West, right across the street from that. Let me start off with, I'm kind of disappointed in the fact that back in 2001, this was allowed to happen rather than hold the person accountable for the code violation. Now, we're kind of stuck with this from what I understand. And not too appreciative of that, because now I'm going to be looking across the street at a multi-floor building that's just an eyesore. It's out of place. But my number one concern has to be not my own personal opinion of having a house like that. It's the fact that the exit from that is going to be kind of in between myself and my neighbor straight across the street. So you're putting 12 to 24 additional cars right in the intersection, right there going out on the 500. So we were just talking about traffic. You're not putting these people back in the housing area to kind of onesie twosie come out. they're all going to be right there exiting into that same area. So there's my number one concern, that if we're going to have to approve this, and I hope we do have, look at it, that we have to, that we do some kind of a safety analysis. Look at that traffic, get something in there to see what it really is going to do to us. Secondly, overflow parking. Don't want it out on 500, because right now, actually coming to this meeting, there's cars parked right out inside there, so you have to stick your nose quite a ways out there just to be able to get a clear view. So I would hope that that would become a no parking zone. Lastly, the overflow for that now looks like it's going to be my front of my house. So yeah, I've got some concerns about that, and I really hope the council really takes that into consideration of the inconvenience it's going to create on the rest of the people that have to live with the mistake that was made back in 2001.
Yeah. Understood. Thank you very much.
I think
We'll certainly have staff look at traffic in that area again, where 300 North is now a city-owned street. It's something that we can look at traffic and how that's affected, and how this project would affect that traffic.
And that's a concern a lot of the residents in that area have, so it's just not these ones. It's been expressed to me as well.
Yeah. Okay, any further comment? Okay. Seeing no further comment, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Your Honor, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That brings us to item number 4, which is our public hearing to receive public comment on the proposed 2018-2019 fiscal year budget. And we will go back to Rich. Well, we'll go to Rich for the first real time tonight, but letting you speak and not receive awards. Let's introduce the award-winning Rich Knapp.
I've been waiting my whole life for that.
Rich, I'd like to present you with this gold medal. Well, okay, never mind. That's from Boise State, but that's it would look good on you.
I'll take it. I do appreciate the recognition. It is a lot of work. It's fun, and I enjoy being here. Mayor, council, residents of Clearfield, that's my pleasure to present the final fiscal year 19 budget. It's a long time coming. We started this back in January with a goal-setting session with the mayor and council and the city manager leading that discussion. We've had a lot of work sessions, public meetings about this, getting into the detail, the minute detail, even $50 items. And then our budget committee meeting with department heads and their people, getting into what their priorities are. It's been a lot of work. It's been fun. We believe this budget reflects Clearfield City's commitment to provide quality municipal services, improving Clearfield's image, livability, and economy, and maintaining a highly motivated and well-trained workforce. Just at a very high level, the revenues, and we did get into much more detail than this, but this is very high level. All of the funds in the city, where does the money come from? 43% from taxes, and then charges for utilities is 37%. And as far as changes in the 19 budget, we're projecting 150,000 higher sales tax. So that's part of that 43% there, and 150,000 increase in energy tax. We will be able to use these to enhance our service levels and maintain our healthy reserves. And then our total appropriations for the entire budget, including the use of reserves, which we do have, is $47 million. And this is how those funds are spent. 26% in utilities, and then 21% in utility projects. So our utilities almost takes up half the budget. We have a little debt service, and then these different functions of government. General government includes court, HR, legal, IT, finance. So that's how it's all spent. We do, and then just looking at the changes from in this new budget, we talked about the increases in revenues there. The certified tax rate from the county came back, and the rate was a decrease of 11%. The average home will, if this rate is adopted tonight will see a decrease of $17 in their property tax. This is a result of more commercial, the commercial values going up faster than the residential values, so the burden has shifted more to commercial. As part of maintaining a motivated workforce, we have built in a 15% increase in health insurance, and we have a market merit in there as well. And then to enhance our services and accomplish our strategic plan, we've added a deputy public works director and have changed from a planner 1 to a senior planner. Major projects in the city, we're continuing to maintain our surface treatment at $400,000. Prop 1 several years ago has helped with that. A couple years ago, we just only spent $200,000, so we've doubled, and we've been able to double and maintain that level of spending on street surface treatment. 300 North Trail pedestrian crossing, $120,000. Cornerstone Park, parking lot and restroom additions, lighting upgrades at Island View Park, and then a mill and overlay at South Main Street, 200 South to 700 South. And then just to see all our governmental funds, we don't have to look at all of these, but if you look at capital expenditures in the general fund, we have $2.5 million, but our use of available cash is 1.5. That means that we are not using, our reserves we're using for one-time capital projects. We're not using them for ongoing operations. If we're looking at just the operational budget, we have about $108,000 higher. And that gives us little leeway in case sales tax comes in lower than we anticipate. And then the enterprise fund, same thing. We just have a lot of projects, which is a good thing. That's why we are spending down the cash. And these are all in a 10-year, well, a 5-year, and we even have some 10-year plans on all these projects we're accomplishing. Lastly, I'd just like to thank the mayor and council, the department heads, and all the staff, all the efforts they put in, and it was a lot of work, but I believe this is a fiscally responsible budget, and I recommend approving it tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Rich. We'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in regards to the budget? All right. Yeah, we do have.
Doug Kersley, 520 South State. I just have a simple question on the revenues, 43%, I think you said, from taxes. Do you have a breakdown of what that is from property tax and sales tax?
We do, yes, I can get that.
Is that something you'd know? Okay.
But sales tax is double property tax, more than double property tax. It's by far our largest source.
That's what I thought. And that was my concern in the previous hearing, that we're going to lose that sales tax if we're not careful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
If I could just make a point of clarification regarding sales tax and also property tax. What the taxpayers pay, whether it's when they're purchasing something or when they're paying their property tax, the total of what is paid is very different from what the city receives. The city's portion is only a portion. In terms of property tax, the city's portion of the total property tax bill is 11%, about that. And in sales tax, the cities are 1 percentage point out of a total of 7 point something. Can't remember what the total sales tax rate is right now. So cities, the taxes that you pay obviously are not all coming to the city. Most of them go to other taxing entities, the state, the county, the school districts, and so on and so forth.
Well, and even then, with your retail sales taxes, and I explained this to Boise State today, and it was kind of a fun discussion to have with a bunch of 16-year-old young men. That 1% that comes to the municipality is really only 0.5%. The 0.5% comes to us. The other half goes into a pool that's then distributed statewide based on population. And so a lot of our tax that we receive as a city, when we look at sales tax as being our biggest income generator, isn't even what's done here locally. It's what was spent in Riverdale and Layton and everywhere else. That's why we've had this long-going joke between Mayor Stevenson of Layton and myself that it's made in Clearfield and purchased in Layton, but it's made here, and we're still getting the taxes back from it. So we're happy either way, but it's a very good point. I appreciate that. Any other comments on the budget? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So I see no further public comment. I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So item number 5 is the last of our public hearings. That is a public hearing to receive public comment on the proposed transfers of resources from the enterprise funds to the general fund for water used by the city's general operation and the cost of providing services necessary for the funds to operate in the 2018-19 fiscal year budget. Rich, you want to explain that in layman's terms?
Yes, so there's two different transfers here. The first one is we don't bill ourselves for watering our parks. So this just recognizes what it would have cost if we had billed ourselves for the water. So the water fund does not bill the general fund for its watering of parks. So it's just a public recognition that we're not billing ourselves. The second one is to be transparent. We have operational costs. The water fund receives services from the general fund, HR, legal, finance, several other things that they rely on to run the water, sewer, storm, garbage fund. So we do have an allocation where we charge those funds for those services, and specifically the utility admin fund, $137,000, the water fund, $339,000, sewer fund, $346,000, and the storm fund, $195,000. Lastly, the garbage fund, $46,000. Is there any questions there?
No. Declare the public hearing open. Are there any comments regarding these transfers? Really, this is more so in transparency than anything else to make sure that everything is up front. Okay. Council, seeing no further comment, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Your Honor, seeing no further requests to comment, I would move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That brings us to our open comment period. I do have one form from someone here to speak tonight during our open comment period. That is Bob Bircher. We will ask Bob to come forward and give you some time.
Mayor Shepherd, council members, thank you for the opportunity to come here tonight and speak with you. My name is Bob Bircher. I live at 1290 West, 1045 South in Clearfield. I'm the Secretary Treasurer of the Vietnam Veterans of America, Local Chapter 1079. I'm sure that most of you are aware of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. Some of you may have been there to see it. It's a memorial to all U.S. service personnel who, living and dead, who served during the Vietnam conflict. The names of the military personnel who were killed in the conflict are inscribed on the wall, as are the names of those whose status is unknown, and there on the wall is MIA, missing in action. About 4.5 years ago, our chapter decided that we wanted to bring a permanent replica of that wall here to northern Utah. We looked into that. The cost was estimated at $525,000. We have raised that money, and the wall is under construction and will be finished first week or so in July. It's an 83% replica of the wall in DC, so it's pretty big, and it's the largest replica in existence. Not to be confused with the traveling wall, which we've seen. The wall is going to be dedicated July 14th on a Saturday. And an invitation will be mailed to all of you. I wanted to come here tonight to tell you about it and personally give you a flyer about it and the invitation. The dedication starts at 6 o'clock. Then there'll be an hour break where you can view the wall, look up names if you know anyone that's on it. The ceremony does not require the invitation. It's not by invitation only. So the invitation I've given you and that you'll receive is just for your info. You don't have to bring it, and everything is free of charge that night. At 8 o'clock, there'll be a special Bob Hope U.S. tribute show. If any of you saw it last year, it's pretty impressive. Some of you may remember Bob Hope. I'm looking at some that are a little older. He did USO-sponsored tours from World War II all the way through Desert Storm in 1990. The MC of that show is a guy named Bill Johnson. He's a look-alike impersonator. He's up there with the golf club. It's really a terrific show. He does a great job. I saw the real shows twice, once in 1968 in Vietnam and once in '69 in Thailand. So this guy is really good. The shows are really great. Really morale-boosting shows back then. That's all I have. Are there any questions?
Appreciate you bringing that to us. It is about time to see this thing done. It's been a long road raising funds. This isn't something that just happened last year. This has been several years of raising funds to get this done. And,
it's been a challenge.
And very impressive. It's and an 83% replica wall is, again, that's a major thing. The only downfall with this entire thing was that it's built in Layton. So, but we will still visit it and visit it proudly.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I couldn't let Layton City, go where that, That was the only public comment that I had tonight. Was there anyone else here that was here to speak to the council? You'll come up and give us your name and address.
Ryan Van Dyke. I'm at 150 East, 350 South. I think I missed my opportunity on item number 2 there, but since this isn't any topic session, the properties along 350 South, they're adjacent to the Clearfield trailer park. So my concern is our property sits approximately 3 feet higher than the trailer park property. So I have concerns about the construction that might go in there, that we may need a retaining wall to hold the property there. And also with placement of high-density housing there, it may affect our privacy also. So consider retaining wall and maybe a privacy fence.
We'll definitely take those into consideration as that project comes forward.
Do you need this?
We do.
Yes.
Okay, so that's all I have.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, well, that brings us to item number 7, which is to consider approval of the amended final subdivision plat for the property located at 572 West 300 North. Council, any further comments, concerns, or questions for staff?
My only comment is I think it was well spoken that we are bound by the rule of law. And when you have a developer that honestly does something that they feel is within the constraints of the law, that we call zoning, but is still the law, that it is difficult to put ourselves in a position to violate those things. So, which is a nice way of saying we don't have a lot of options. But we can soften the fall, if you will, and it seems like the good faith discussions between the city and the developer has come to a reasonable approach to this. I'm not sure what could be better done than that, other than a time capsule and going back and doing things differently 15 years ago.
I used this as a scenario today at Boys State and kind of stopped the normal discussion that we would have and brought this out to get their opinions and let them kind of vet an issue for us. It was really interesting to see them go back and forth with how they would handle that situation. And it's a challenging thing to be in. Again, the past council somewhere, you know, things were agreed upon that can't necessarily be followed through with. Zoning is zoning, and your hands are somewhat bound in that situation. And I'm glad we've got a good developer on the project that at least has some concern for what the city feels and what the city, you know, but still is there to, you know, to do their job.
And I fully appreciate that because I live in that subdivision and I know what it's like to try to turn left out of there. And, you know, sometimes you need to bring a lunch and so I'm equally as concerned as you and others about the traffic in the area and mitigating that, including the parking. So that is something that we need to, that we do have control over, is taking appropriate steps to mitigate the impact on the surrounding residents.
Thank you.
I'll also add, it's difficult to sit in this seat and only look at the facts. And when you see the facts presented to you and you see what the law says that you can and can't do, you have to base your decisions off of that. And it's hard. I mean, I live in that subdivision as well, not too far from where it's going. And it's hard to eliminate even my emotions on this decision, but it has to be based on the facts.
Well, and as we consider, just to add my voice to this, this is one of those frustrating ones of, you know, I wish that there was a different remedy available. And we've talked about, you know, the city and the developer coming to, you know, working the best that they can. But I appreciate that we got so much resident feedback in there as far as the things that the city can do. And the things that we can look at. The one thing that is in our favor is that we finally have control over that road. As the mayor mentioned, we haven't had control of that until recently with the bridge acquisition. And so there's an opportunity there to make the best of something that is not a first choice for me personally. And to look at what we can do going forward and yeah, make the best of a decision that's not a fun one.
This is a case of no good deed goes unpunished. In 2001, when the city was approached by the property owner to rezone that property from A1 and R18 to R3 for the purpose of him refinancing that property. And that was the only purpose for the rezone, was to refinance, so the owner could refinance his property. That's why the agreement was made. And the owner knew of that agreement. He signed it. It was notarized. It was him. He signed it. He has a copy of it. In fact, he had 2 copies of it because he was supposed to take it to the county to record it, which the city thought he had done. So he knew of that agreement. Why he didn't tell the person buying his property that that agreement was made, I don't know. But the fact that it was not recorded, now they're telling us, it means that that agreement was never made. So the agreement said that nothing was to be done on that property except if it was developed that it would have no more than the number of units that's on it now, which is 3. And obviously he didn't abide by that agreement because he sold the property to someone else for what we have now. So the city was doing him a favor so he could refinance his property, and he did not live up to his part of the agreement. A wise man once said, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And this is that case also. You can develop that property with the R3 zoning, which allows 12 units, but it should not be done because it's way out of place, like has been mentioned here, a 3-story building in there will look way out of place. There are 2-story houses in that subdivision, and on the other side of the street, which a 2-story building may not look out of place, but a 3-story building will. So this is a case of, yeah, you can do something, but you shouldn't. There isn't a whole lot we can do except buy the property. If someone wants to come up with the money to buy the property and do something else with it, I wish I had the money to do it. I would buy it. I live in that area, and I'm conscious of the neighborhood and the problems that this may cause, but I don't quite have enough money to buy it. I would if I could. So anyway, that's the story of that property. We get stabbed in the back sometimes.
Well, and I would say that, you know, not defending the property owner, but he is a very elderly man, and this was 30 years ago that this was done. I guess it's 2001, 17 years ago. But he is, in fact, he was given hours to live as of yesterday, so it's, he is a very elderly gentleman. But council, without it, no further concerns or comments, I would entertain a motion on this item.
This item is not to rezone, it's already R3, it's to combine the 2 lots. So that's
Yes.
what this request is.
That is correct. This is the motion would be to rezone or to combine the 2 lots.
With regret, Your Honor, I would move to approve the final subdivision plat for property located at 572 West, 300 North to combine lots, creating a single lot for the purpose of developing a single 12-unit condominium building, and would direct staff to finalize the condominium plat through the administrative process, and would authorize your signature to any necessary documents.
We have a motion by Councilmember Peterson. Do we have a second on the motion?
I will second it.
We have a motion, we have a second from Councilmember Roper. This requires a roll call. Councilmember Roper?
Aye.
Councilmember Peterson?
With regret, aye.
Councilmember Phipps?
Aye.
And Councilmember Bush?
Nay.
Okay, that passes on a majority. That brings us to item number 8, to consider approval of ordinance 2018-08, rezoning a specific set of properties located in the downtown corridor consistent with the recently adopted form-based code. This is the public hearing we held just earlier and had the request to add that one additional property at
606 South.
606 South.
Yeah, so on this sheet that I put on your dais, it lists the ones that you'll need to exclude and the ones you'll need to add. So those first 2 headers are the ones you're going to exclude if you choose to. And then under that are the 2 you're going to include. And you would add 606 South, 1000 East to that second section, that third header, sorry.
Okay, and do you need them to state in that motion the each one of those individually?
Yeah.
Correct? Do you need the tax identification numbers as well?
No, the
Okay.
address is sufficient.
Okay. Well, then, council, I would entertain a motion on that.
We're on 7.
Yes. No, we're on 8.
8, sorry. I will move to approve resolution 2018-R-07.
No, it is.
Oh, it is, yeah, we are.
It is 7.
We are on 7. I knew what I was talking about.
No, we already did.
No, we did 6.
We did 7, we're on 8.
We're on 8.
No, but in the notes it's 8. So.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm sorry, in the notes it's 7.
Yeah.
Oh, you're looking at the old agenda before
Yes,
we
I
amended.
am.
Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
you're not looking at the amended agenda.
Yeah.
That's what's confusing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I didn't hear anybody else trying to speak up.
Good job. Thank you.
I move to approve ordinance 2018-08, rezoning a specific set of properties located in the downtown corridor consistent with the recently adopted form-based code, and authorize your signature to any necessary documents.
You want to list those properties out that we're excluding?
Yes, I will.
And including.
Requests to be excluded from the zoning change are 573 South, 1000 East. Do we need the tax ID number?
No.
No.
Okay. 597 South, 1000 East, 607 South, 100 East, 627 South, 1000 East, 655 South, 1000 East, 1011 East, 700 South, 1017 East, 700 South, and 1029 East, 700 South.
That 607 South should be 1,000.
Should be 1,000 East.
Should be
1,000 East.
It's just on
I
there
should
wrong.
have followed along the pattern, but
No. Our error,
But
sorry.
you have proven your reading capabilities, and that's
which
impressive.
is impressive in today's day and age. And, oh, well, I won't say where I graduated, so. Addresses included from Ross Drive will be 179 Ross Drive.
Actually, that one's asking to be excluded.
Oh, excluded.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're good. You're doing great.
Hey, you know,
I'll help you.
at heart, I consider myself a rookie, so. Requests to be included as part of the zone was 608 South, 1000 East, 628 South, 1000 East, and did we need to include the?
Yes,
was-
606.
606 South, 1000 East. Requests for a change in the proposed designation from CC to UC were 293 South State Street and 275 South State Street.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Davis County records show that, Davis County records show that it's 275 South State Street rear, not 295 South State Street.
Okay, so it was read correctly, but it's rear.
Rear.
We just need to.
But it is your property, though.
Okay.
Amend that to say rear.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Take out.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Roper and a second by Councilmember Bush. Councilmember Bush?
Aye.
Councilmember Roper?
Aye.
Councilmember Phipps?
Aye.
Councilmember Peterson?
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. That'll bring us to item number 9, which is to consider approval of Resolution 2018 R-07, setting the tax rate for all real and personal property in Clearfield at .001547 for the fiscal year 2018-2019. Rich, back to you.
Okay, so Davis County has published the Clearfield City's total property valuation and the certified tax rate. The total valuation went up. Commercial was about 23%, residential was about 10%. So our rate last year was .001745. To maintain the same revenues, the rate dropped to .001547. So the average home value increased 2% to $193,000 in Clearfield City. That's average. So this new rate will result in a decrease in property tax of $17 for the year. The total growth, new growth in the city, so we will receive the same revenue as last year plus an additional $22,788 from new growth. Are there any questions?
Okay, thanks, Rich. Council, seeing no questions, I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 2018 R-07, setting the tax rate for all real and personal property in Clearfield at .001547 for fiscal year 2018-2019, and authorize your signature to any necessary documents.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Phipps and a second by Councilmember Peterson. Councilmember Peterson?
Aye.
Councilmember Phipps?
Aye.
Councilmember Roper?
Aye.
Councilmember Bush?
Nay.
Okay, that passes again on a majority. That, for those who are here, just so you're aware, constitutes roughly a 10% decrease in the city's tax rate on property taxes. That is a monumental amount of, as far as a percentage goes. It doesn't sound like a whole lot. It's $17 on average per residence, but that is a major decrease in our taxes.
Your Honor, the reason I voted nay was because we're getting farther behind in our tax rates. We dropped the rate in 2016. We're dropping the rate this year. It's eventually going to bite us that we're going to have to do a big property tax increase because we're not keeping the same rate. So just so you're aware, it may come that there'll have to be a huge increase because we keep dropping it. Whereas if we keep the same rate, we would most likely be okay.
Okay. Item number 11, thank you, Kent, is to consider approval of Resolution 2018. Whoop, did I miss one? I probably turned the page too fast. I did. Yeah, I got the tax rate, kind of forgot the budget. Item number 10 is to consider approval of Resolution 2018 R-06, adopting the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget. We've gone over this in work session. We've gone over this in our public hearing tonight. Council, I would entertain a motion on the budget.
Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 2018 R-06, adopting the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget, and would authorize your signature to any necessary documents.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Peterson and a second from Councilmember Phipps. Councilmember Phipps?
Aye.
Councilmember Peterson?
Aye.
Councilmember Roper?
Aye.
Councilmember Bush?
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. Now I can turn the page. Item number 11 is to consider approval of Resolution 2018 R-08, authorizing individuals to make changes to the Public Treasurer's Investment Fund, the PTIF fund accounts. Rich, you want to explain that?
The fund keeps coming. We invest about half of our money with the Public Treasury Investment Fund, the PTIF. They're rolling out a new system. They are requiring us to have 2 people to be able to make changes to the account. Currently, it's just 1 person, that's me. So the proposal is to add me and our senior accountant, Brian Hogue, to that. And I would assume they will have dual controls, but this needs to be in before the end of June in order for us to make any changes to those investments. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Rich. Council, I'd entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 2018 R-08, authorizing individuals to make changes to the city's Public Treasurer's Investment Fund, the PTIF, accounts, and would authorize your signature to any necessary documents.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Peterson and a second by Councilmember Roper. Councilmember Bush?
Aye.
Councilmember Peterson?
Aye.
Councilmember Roper?
Aye.
Councilmember Phipps?
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. Item number 12 is to consider approval of Resolution 2018 R-05, affirming the City Council reviewed the 2017 Municipal Wastewater Planning Program report for Clearfield City. Scott, we have reviewed it. Would you tell us what it was?
Annually, the State Division of Environmental Water Quality has the city fill out a report dealing with wastewater, which is the sanitary sewer system of the city. The report is in 2 sections, one financial, one system collections, how it operates basically. This report answers the questions that the state has. The resolution just identifies that the council has reviewed that, and we will turn that report into the state for their information. The biggest part of that is the state gets information as far as financially how sound our system is, the condition of our system, and then if we've had any backups of any significance through the year, which we have not had any. We've had some, what we would classify as a small backup in a residential lateral, but not a mainline backup that has caused 5 or more properties to have standing sewage on their property.
Okay, Thank you, Scott. Council, are there any questions for Scott, or if not, I'd entertain a motion on that?
Well, Your Honor, I know I reviewed it, so I'll move to approve Resolution 2018 R-05, affirming City Council reviewed the 2017 Municipal Wastewater Planning Program Report for Clearfield City and authorize your signature to any necessary documents.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Phipps and a second from Councilmember Peterson. Councilmember Phipps?
Aye.
Councilmember Roper?
Aye.
Councilmember Peterson?
Aye.
And Councilmember Bush?
Aye.
I will say it was enthralling reading. That brings us to our communication items. If you haven't gone by the Have a Heart home where we broke ground a couple of weeks ago, it's moving quick. Foundation's in the ground, and it's looking great. It'll be a fantastic home. It's nice to see that that's moving as quickly as it is. As I mentioned, I had the chance today to go speak at Boys State. I had a great time up there with the young men, covering all kinds of questions municipal government-wise. Spent about an hour with them up there and had a great time. Just a reminder, I'm out of town next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the Association of Defense Communities. And then I am out of town the following Monday, Tuesday in Little Rock for the National League of Cities. And so, Councilmember Peterson, don't burn the place down. Let all the fun happen while she's here.
Can we talk about 300 North again?
Yeah.
Please no.
Councilmember Bush.
Well, I feel like I've been raped, but sometimes, you know, you just have to feel that way, I guess. I presented the Kiwanis Hope of American Freedom Leadership Awards to 10 different schools this year. I did all of Sunset's because Sunset decided this year they weren't going to be a member of the Kiwanis. So I did those schools. I also went to the Memorial Day services at Syracuse City and Clearfield. Those were nice. I attended the community, whatever we're calling it, council luncheon, and got some good information there. Also went on the tour of the Weber Basin Water, Ogden Riverside this time. They do the Weber Riverside one year, Ogden the next. That was interesting. Got a lot of good information about water and the things they have to do to get it from the top of the mountain to our tap. It's a long process.
Great tour.
Great tour. And Thursday for the pop-up party, I have sewer district meeting at 6, so I will get here when I get here.
Okay.
Get there when I get there.
Very good. Councilmember Peterson.
It's been a good month to work with member agencies and different cities in our community to be able to work on issues that overlap and don't respect city boundaries, that are shared concern here in, not just in our city and county, but across the nation as well. We've had a chance to meet with leadership from Syracuse and from the county and from social departments, along with the mayor and Kent Bush, to look at the growing problem of drug abuse and ways to be able to go after that on a community level and realize that this is going to be an all-hands-deck approach to finding ways to do that. It involves our schools, it involves our law enforcement, our community, social, and how you start to wrap your hands around that as a community and to come together. We're trying to take that same approach of what can we do as a community to help build relationships in other areas that affect Clearfield. Two of those are poverty and also our relationship with our law enforcement. Our Open Doors partners did an amazing event last week out at Kiwanis, where they brought out law enforcement and different members of our community to just try and break down some barriers between members of our community and our law enforcement community, where that is a safe relationship. And every time we do that, that event grows. The reaction is great, and we build connections there. So our appreciation to our fire chief, or excuse me, fire, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, Chief Kersey. To police, we have our partners from North Davis Fire District who frequently join us in those efforts, and then also to our city staff that are there for that as well. We also have our community luncheons. They're called a leadership luncheon, but I'd like to extend that invite. If you are a business owner, if you're active in your congregation, if you're active in an HOA or anything in your neighborhood, or just want to come, the third Tuesday of every month, was it 11 to noon? I should know the times. Noon. Noon to 1. We meet here, and it's a chance to just get an overview of here's what's happening right now in our city, and to ask questions and to connect with other people in the community who are trying to do the same kind of things, and to become better connected as neighbors. The one thing we all seem to have in common here in Clearfield is that we care deeply about the people that we're around, and we're trying to do a lot with very little to go on with resources. And the more we can connect and work together, the easier that job becomes. And so that invitation is out there, and you can jump in 1 month and miss for a while and can come back. That invitation stands, and we would love to have anyone who can be there for that as well. And then just an information item for the council. If you could let me know, text or email, we have a council 4th of July float build Saturday. There are 2 events. One is the 23rd, which we realize is also the weekend of the air show, but also June 30th. If you could just let me know in the next day or 2 if there's a date that you would prefer on that for a morning slot. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilmember Roper.
Oh, down to me. Just a couple matters. I went on the Weaver Basin Water Tour as well, and it was highly educational, and I would encourage any resident to educate themselves on the water system. It gives you definitely a different perspective on water usage in your own homes as you follow that process along, especially with our concerns of our population concerns of doubling that before 2050. The water supply will take, it will be burdened even more as more people move into the valley. So I'd encourage you to do that. I've also met this last week. The Davis Chamber Legislative Affairs Committee has started meeting. I was put on 2 subcommittees, environment and public facilities, as well as military affairs. So I'm looking forward to that as we gear up for this next legislative session. A lot of work goes into getting ready for that small period of time. So that's all I have.
Okay, Councilmember Phipps.
Yeah, I'd just like to also express my appreciation for the Memorial Day services, and it always strikes me at these things like that's my day off and I'm doing something on my day off, but the staff is there. It's supposed to be their day off too. But so we appreciate you're giving up your time with your family, and what for many people is a day off to put that on. So it's a great asset to the city, and I anticipate it'll continue to grow, become just part of our city processes. So there's quite a bit that's been going on in Wasatch Integrated, and so I thought it would be appropriate to let you know that we did award a contract for the construction of the new transfer station that we've been talking about for a while. This is anticipated to be completed by February 2019. That will provide the ability to start transferring waste down to southern Utah County in concert with our agreements with that landfill down there, which I think extends the landfill and such. Associated with that, we also passed a resolution with the intent to bond to be able to construct the recovery facility that will recover recyclables from the waste stream. And so the intent is to, once we get that more definitively state with the engineering completed and such, that bonds will be issued to that. It was made in such that the cost of the transfer station could also be included in the funds derived from that bonding. That's important to look at our long-term planning, because when that recycling recovery facility is constructed, it will be semi-automated and will even more sophisticated than what was previously done at the energy recovery facility, will remove a large portion of recyclables from the waste stream. Not only paper and cardboard, but plastics and other things for use in different things. So that's important for us to look at because as we look at recyclables, the cost of that bond would probably increase the Wasatch Integrated's charge per can to the city to about $6.25. But because we would be recovering the recyclables from the waste stream, there would no longer be a need to have a recyclable can in the city. And so the net effect would be removing the mandatory recycling can from the city, but increasing the per can for curbside recycling, which would be a net effect of a couple of dollars per month per residence. But it also, you may or may not be aware, because I deal with trash a lot and got to know it a lot, that only the ability to recycle now is fairly low. Plastics 1 and 2, some paper, some and cardboard is still highly in demand. But this capability would increase other plastics, metals, and those kinds of things would be pulled out of the waste stream. So the percentage of recovery would actually increase beyond what's able to be recovered from the blue cans. Some of that is actually related to a business agreement that we've entered into with a company called Geocycle that deals with the cement plant up at Devil's Slide, and who we are entering into discussions. They have some furnaces there that are configured to be able to burn various kinds of things, included recyclable waste. So plastic, although it's not necessarily recyclable, has a high BTU content, can be pulled out of the waste stream, shredded and sold to Geocycle, which they're very happy to do. So there is this long-term plan, and to be able to significantly reduce the amount of material that's actually buried in the landfill. There's a thing that's going on right now. Geocycle recently replaced their shredder that they use to shred materials that go into the furnaces, and they gave us their hand-me-down and delivered it there to their old shredder. Is now in a no-cost lease, being leased to Wasatch Integrated. Some analysis has shown that shredding mattresses is actually a highly productive usage of those. So we have entered into an agreement now to fire up that shredder, shred mattresses, and sell the product to Geocycle to use in their furnaces. So the estimate is now that currently Wasatch Integrated buries about 100 mattresses a day. And so they can pull those from the waste stream now, stack those, and the shredder is a high-capacity shredder, obviously, and they estimate they can, if they get 600 mattresses a week, which is what their estimate is, they can shred those in about 4 hours. And then Geocycle will provide the transportation to transport that up to Devil's Slide and use that in their furnaces. So there's a lot of cool things going on. And interestingly, mattresses don't compress very well. Never thought about that, but you can take those honking big pieces of material over there and drive them over the top. They still don't compress. So the amount of volume that they use to consume in a landfill is actually fairly large. So this will be help reduce that also. So a lot of really good things going on. We certainly are emphasizing the ability to recycle and reuse there. A lot of things going on there. I do want to bring up something that I'd like to bring up a lot, is that especially during the summer months, the majority of the residential material that comes through is green waste. And there's, not only does it consume a lot of volume in the landfill, it's a big producer of methane gas and odors and things like that too. So My bandwagon is now and has been for a couple of years. If we really want to reduce the impact to landfills, we've got to start doing something about green waste, because that is taking up well over 50% of the volume that goes in during the summer months from residential is green waste. And some of you that went on the tour last summer saw that in the waste stream. Although there is a potential that is still under review to have a relationship with South Davis Sewer District, where they may buy our organic waste and mix it with what they produce and come up with a composting material. That still is a possibility. So this recovery facility that the bonding will fund is anticipated to go online in about 2020, and that's when we would start pulling recyclables out for market recycling, pulling things with a high BTU measurement to be able to use in geocycle, and hopefully being able to get a clean product to be able to sell to South Davis Sewer District. So lots going on right now. So
very good. Thank you for representing us up there, Vern.
Yeah.
It's a busy place and a lot going on, as you say.
I will be out tomorrow through Friday too. So.
Okay. With with a couple of things that we hit on tonight before I give JJ, I mean, we all spoke a lot about the 300 North project and the mistakes that were made in the past and so forth. I do want to at least go on record with all of that that's happened. I'm very thankful that we've got a developer who is conscientious of the city's requests. And while as a whole we'd rather see something else developed there, they're certainly acting within their rights, and as a partner in that sense are doing all they can to minimize the effect of that and do some good things with it. And so I appreciate that of a developer that's at least trying to, they're there to make a profit, that's what they do, but at least taking the city into consideration in that. With our tax increase, as Kent mentioned, or a tax decrease, there is a potential that things change. You start to run so thin. The only place that the city makes money, we have to give our employees raises each year. We have to take care of those employees. We have to hire police officers. And so we do our very best to run on a very, very thin budget. And this year we've been able to do that because of that, the increases. And so we're ending up with a significant decrease in property tax. It always worries me when that happens, as Councilmember Bush stated, that all of a sudden things change and a project comes up or multiple projects come up and things happen, or we start losing employees to other cities because we're not paying them enough, whatever that be. Those things have a tendency to at some point catch up with you. And so it's a wonderful thing today, and I'm thrilled to death to be able to pass on a tax decrease to that magnitude to our residents. I do worry about that a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, all of a sudden we're facing a sizable increase that we may not anticipate, and that kind of unnerves me a bit. But that is future as well. So, staff reports, JJ.
I keep adding to my list. I'll try not to be long. But I did want to begin with my gratitude again for Rich, Knapp, and the finance staff on their work with the budget. And it's just such a great accomplishment. And I also want to express my appreciation to the City Council for the adoption of the budget tonight. It's a responsible, prudent budget, conservative. I echo your comments, Mayor, about the ability to sustain that over time. Resources are always tight. And it's always a struggle to make ends meet. But I think we've got a good budget, and we'll do our very best to implement it as the council's directed. So my kudos to Rich and your staff. Well done. Great work. It's a pleasure to work with Rich and his staff. I sent out our monthly staff report last week. You should have received that. Let us know if you have any questions at all. And again, thanks to Eric and his staff for the Memorial Day ceremony at the cemetery. Very well done. And I think we're building on a good tradition there. So nice work. We appreciate the good work that they do. A couple days after that, Circles held an event at Kiwanis Park that was well attended, and we'll see if they make that a recurring type of event. But it was a good community building event, and that's We talked about this at our retreat in February, community building, and it was great to see another entity start to take that effort upon themselves. I really enjoyed that. The council should have received an email earlier today about one of two significant employee appreciation events, our summer picnic with employees at Boondocks, and hopefully you can join us there and show your support for our staff. That's on June 22nd. We look forward to that. I will be out of the office Wednesday through Friday next week, enjoying southern Utah a little bit, but staff will, or City Hall will be in good hands without me, no doubt.
It's hot down there. I just wanted
I know.
to let you know I was just there. You know, it's gonna be 95 here tomorrow. I can tell you what, it's gonna be down there too. Have fun in that.
I'm crossing my fingers. Yep. Lastly, just express my appreciation to you all as our elected officials. The job that you volunteered to do and were elected to do is often not easy and without any praise. And tonight was a more difficult night, but great things were accomplished. I mean, budget adoption, tax rate, rezoning, and you know, sometimes decisions are difficult, and I applaud you all for having the guts to step up here and sit on this dais and do the work that needs to be done. So thank you.
Thank you. Nancy?
Hi. Let's see. No, so our schedule, we have work session on Tuesday night at 6 p.m. The following week, right now we just have a policy session scheduled at 7 p.m. That could change always. There could always be a work session put into that. July 3rd, you will not be here because you'll be preparing for the 4th of July. You won't be here for a meeting, I should say.
We'll be at the movie in the park.
Right. July 10th, we are planning on a meeting. Start at 6 that night. July 17th, there will be no meeting for sure. July 24th, there will be no meeting for sure. But we will be calling a special session to handle the business that we need to in July that comes down to you from the Planning Commission. So plan on a special session on July 31st.
Okay. Thank you, Nancy.
Are you going to cover the pop-up part? Okay, I'll let you do that.
Sorry, we have a duck in here.
I was told I should bring it in.
Trevor, why do you have a duck in here?
Wow.
Would you turn the duck around and let the duck face Facebook?
There we go. All right, so I brought my friend Maybe in with us. She is brand new to our department, so I just want to introduce you to her. She will be at our neighborhood pop-up parties. So the neighborhood pop-up parties are not an open house. They're not going to be booths for people to walk to get information. None of that boring stuff. So it will be a chance for the neighborhood to get together at one of the local parks. The first one is at Central Park this Thursday night at 6 p.m. I believe there are some council that RSVP'd, so those who are coming to show up at 6. Really, it's going to be kind of a low-key event for us as staff. There's not a lot for us to plan. We'll have some games there. Along with Maybe, we have a 6-foot, well, I have 7 6-foot beach balls, but I'll bring a couple for us to play around with. We'll have spike ball, some cornhole there. We'll have popsicles and other treats for people to have. So really, it's just a chance for neighbors to get out, talk to their neighbors, see what we have as a city, but just have fun. We'll be there for an hour. We won't kick all the neighbors out. If they want to linger at the park, they can definitely be there. For these pop-up parties, we're having one this Thursday, one next Thursday at Island View Park, and we are just inviting the neighborhoods that are associated with that park. So we have sent postcard mailers to the neighborhoods around Central Park here, so just north of City Hall and south of City Hall. So you should have received that today, or they should have received that today in their mailboxes. And it's just going to be a good time. We'll have a fire truck there, a police car, something from our parks department, and our plow that we painted at our event not too long ago. So
or one of the elementary school plows. It just depends on what one they bring. So, yeah, really good event. We're very excited about that. So that's coming up soon, these next couple weeks. And then in 4 weeks, just want to give you a rundown that 4th of July is coming. It will happen again this year. The calendar says it will, so it will. Everything, as far as staff, we're ready and ready to go just about. My staff has been working very hard in getting the promotions. I feel like we're a little busier than the rest of the staff before the 4th of July, but that's just my thinking. But we have our Facebook promotions, our giveaways on Facebook, and other promotional items that are coming out periodically. Nancy has ordered all of you staff shirts, so those will be coming the week before the 4th of July, so we'll make sure that we get you those. And then more details for the pancake breakfast as those get a little closer, and we just have to hammer out a few more details there. But other than that, you should have received in your utility bill our newsletter. We sent you that beforehand as well. But you can review that. The one in the newsletter is sans a typo that I had fortunately found before we printed it. So, yeah, so make sure you look through that and encourage your neighbors to look there. Also follow us on Facebook or get on CC July 4, and it has the information there. So if there are any questions as far as the 4th of July, I think we've covered a lot of what's going on. Our 5 bands are ready to go. They're excited. We're starting at 4 o'clock for that festival, and it'll be a good time. So if you haven't checked out our Spotify playlist, it is on CC July 4. You can go and shuffle those songs and listen to the bands that are coming. JJ is very excited. He was a little skeptical at first, but now he is a fan.
Get some good stuff.
So they're really good. I think they cut a wide swath, everything from electronic to funk to good folk music. So if you're a little more tame person when it comes to your music, Nancy, you'll have something to listen to. So
Thanks, Trevor.
no problem. So yeah, so make sure if you're invited to the pop-up parties in your neighborhood, come take a picture with Maybe. Also, her friend Steed will be there. It's a 10-foot tall flamingo. Just fun stuff. That's what we get to do in my department. It's fun stuff. So anyways, that's it for me.
Very good. Well, if we can get Trevor to get the duck out of here, we can entertain a motion to adjourn as the city council and reconvene as the CDRA.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Welcome to CDRA meeting. We have minutes to approve from the May 22nd session. Has everybody read those? Have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes from the May 22nd, 2018 policy session.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We have a public hearing to receive comment on the proposed 2018-2019 fiscal year budget. It's the same budget, but the CDAR has to approve it also. Is there anything CDRA-wise we need to be aware of?
I can just say the revenues and transfers is 2.2 million and the operating expense 1.87 million. So there's a surplus increase in fund balance of 383,000.
Okay, we have a public hearing. I'm going to declare it open. You want to? Is there anybody here who would like to speak at the public hearing on the proposed fiscal year budget?
Seeing no public comment, I motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our next item is to consider approval of resolution 2018 R01 adopting the 2018-19 fiscal year budget.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve resolution 2018 R-01 adopting the 2018-2019 fiscal year budget and authorize the chair's signature to any necessary documents.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. All in favor?
Voice vote, Chair.
Roll call.
Oh, it's a roll call, yes, resolution. Director Phipps.
Aye.
Director Roper.
Aye.
Director Shepherd.
Aye.
Director Peterson.
Aye.
Do I have to vote too? Nope. Okay. It's unanimous. That's the last thing on our agenda. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Yeah, just, yeah.
I would say, not to read it to the baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Definitely not.
Yes, I'm going to get it.
Yeah, we should probably turn the lights on.
It was tough.
But it
Really
really
tough.
comes down to,
Yeah.
they have the legal right to do that. So,
Yes. Can you turn the lights off?
I've had that discussion.
He loves history on it, so.